of these certifications that you just talked about?
Well, okay, so let me roll it back a little bit. So why? Because if you are truly running a woman-owned, if you are a woman, or if you are a minority, or if you are a veteran, then there are opportunities that set aside, contracting opportunities that set aside just for business owners that identify as those categories. And so the reason why those programs were put in place many years ago by our government is because they knew that that was a population of business owners, a demographic that was generally underserved, overlooked when it comes to opportunities to win contracts, primarily in the federal space. These companies, a lot of small businesses, their lives are changed. The owners and the employees of those companies are changed when they win these multi-million-dollar contracts. And so the federal government recognized, though, that there was inequity in those spaces, because most of the contracts were going to the traditional, male, non-minority male company, right? And so that would be the majority of those contracts. And so the federal government understands that. In addition to that, when you think about how much money the federal government spends, it literally is the world's largest purchaser of goods and services. There is no entity on the face of the earth that buys more than our federal government. And they have a duty to make sure that they provide equal access. And so one of the ways that they do that is by putting in place, again, many years ago, they put in place a law or laws that says that a certain percentage of their spend, which is on average about $1.1 trillion, that's with the T. So 23% of that money that's spent in the federal marketplace is supposed to go to small businesses. Well, that's about $254 billion, but less than
that was a B.
With a B, right? So brand new, 2020 was their first year. We completed their certification. They did their veteran certification and the woman-owned certification. And last year in 2021, they grossed, really their first year out the gate, $864,000 in revenue in 1 year. And that was one contract.
Just out of one contract.
One contract in particular contract. Depending on the contract, because there are some contracts, $250,000 or less, there is no bidding. They just have to find you. So that's that. But let's talk about the multi-million-dollar contracts, right? So you come across a contract, your capabilities, you've built up your capabilities, you've done some teaming already. So you're ready now to compete on your own and be a prime, right? So now you need to answer the request for proposal, which is what's put out there when the government says we're looking for, 1 million widgets, or we need this class taught for the next 2 years, or we need this software. And so whatever it is that you are selling or they're buying, right? So once that is put out there, then you're going to answer the bid. And a grant writer is the one who actually write the proposal. So as a grant writer, they're really not writing a grant. Now, there are grant writers on the nonprofit side. So right. Whether you are a nonprofit or whether you're for-profit, it's all the federal space, right? But it's a grant primarily when you're nonprofit, although there are some grants that for-profits can qualify for as well. But usually it's a language thing. So 99% of the time, if it's a grant, you're a nonprofit seeking a grant. That means that they'll pay you up front and then you deliver whatever it is that they want. If it's a contract that you're going after, that means you are for-profit, and it is you do the work first and then the government pays you. So it's the same system. It's just different lingo. And writing a grant or writing a proposal is very different. And it can be, it is not one of those things. It's not for the faint at heart, right?